This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, though? It is another Thursday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts. And talking about knockouts, I mean, we got somebody that is coming in hot looking for a knockout come August 27th at BKFC 28. The champ herself, Christine Ferea. How you doing?
What's up, G? How you doing? I'm doing good, man. Just, looking to kill somebody.
I mean, hell, you're doing all right. You're out there in Vegas doing better than us out here in Detroit. But I mean, right now we're getting probably close to the same weather. It's just muggy as shit out here. Your guys' heat's like dry heat out there. Out here, shit.
I'm in New Mexico, actually. I'm in Rio Rancho.
Oh, yeah? You're not – okay, you're not in Vegas. So did you do your whole camp out there, or were you did most of it in Vegas?
I did a lot of it in Florida and the last half of it in Rio Rancho to acclimate to the elevation.
Okay, cool.
That's not a bad idea.
I know.
Well, my question with that, like, how have you fought at elevation a bunch before? Like, how much do you feel like a big difference?
I'm from 2,500 feet, so Vegas is 500, about 2,000, 2,500. I train elevation out there, so I'm familiar with it. But when I hit here, coming from Florida, it was a big shift. And I'm glad I did come out because I did feel the difference in my muscles and the fatigue and cardio.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know Florida definitely sea level. It doesn't get more close to sea level out there in Florida. So
I mean, humidity and the weather out there was pretty brutal. I couldn't breathe out there either. Actually, it was pretty crazy to adjust out there as well.
Yeah. I could just imagine the life of a professional fighter, moving with your training camps and stuff like that, trying to get acclimated to staying somewhere for 3-4 weeks or something. It's like, what clothes do I bring, let alone how my lungs and stuff, acclimate to everything.
Yeah. Roll with the punches pretty much, trying to act like it's nothing, and just, it felt like the beginning of camp again when like you shift from regular training to fight training and you're just having to push that extra. It's like I did that, got into fight shape, and then I started all over again in New Mexico to get back in fight shape. I felt like, so I felt like I did it twice.
Yeah, it was more skill building than anything, it sounds like, with your time in Florida then, because like you say, once you get back in New Mexico, you're going to reacclimate again. So
right. Yeah.
Well, that also basically explains like your transition, because we all know that you fought in MMA as well. And how was that, like, what was the transition like for you from MMA to bare knuckle? Like, because for me, I got to compete a couple times in boxing and I trained in MMA, but like from that to bare knuckle, like what was the transition like for you?
The transition, so I just look at it as like going from Muay Thai MMA to boxing. So bare knuckle to me is boxing, but we just take the gloves off. So the transition with the volume and the speed and the power that boxers have, MMA fighters don't have, and the movement, the head movement, the footwork, that was a huge transition. I was getting my ass whooped. I mean, I always get my ass whooped. Always trying to train with that, but boxing, I was getting pieced up by kids. You know what I'm saying? Just like, holy shit! Like this 14-year-old boy just almost
the quickness. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a huge transition, but I got used to it. Got used to the volume. Got used to the power, and that was about 5 years ago. So, I'm pretty adjusted.
I was gonna say, got used to the power. It seems like you're the one out there dishing the power nowadays, man. And these fights you're putting on in BKFC, that's every time that I see you out there, that's what I feel like is the noticeable difference the most. I mean, of course, you're very skilled and you put on great, fights while you're in there. But man, that power difference between you and all these other girls, man, it's truly apparent.
Yeah, I do, and I'm a little heavy for the 125 division. Like I started off in 125 and I never left my weight class as I got older, and it's harder to make the weight. And I've put on muscle over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And when you spend time in your sport and you're consistent, you just get more muscle mass and you get stronger and you get better. And I just feel like a move up for me would be great. I want to defend a couple times and then move up and then get a belt there. And I think I feel much more comfortable, and I actually probably would get my knockouts that I want because I'm depleting myself so much for the 125 division. I think I would be a lot more powerful. I noticed that I'm about half of my power when I hit the fight. You know what I mean? Because I had that cut.
Yep.
and I'm disciplined and cutting for about 7-8 weeks, like hard, just to make weight. And I'm still having a pretty good cut, But by the time I get to the fight, I have 3 pounds to cut the night before. So I'm very disciplined, but it still does take a lot out of me.
I know we had Sam Alvey on last week, and he was speaking to that as well. He, has hit that stride in his career where he's definitely, at the back nine, and he was saying this is the hardest cut he's ever had to deal with going into that one. So,
yeah.
My question with that is, so with you in your last fight, you talk about having championships and things like that, and you're the inaugural champion for BKFC. I noticed in your last fight that you had Arnold AJ Adams in your corner. How is having people like that around you helpful in a bare knuckle setting like that? Having people that are at the top of the level like that with you?
Yeah, he was very key in my fight in the corner as well. I had my coach there, AJ, easily, but having Arnold Adams with me was amazing, and he did point out some key things in the fight, that I needed to hear, that he is familiar with bare knuckle. So it was amazing to have him. I love that guy. He's a true champion, and he was there for me that night.
I mean, you speak to the boxing transition and how you look at it like it is just a boxing fight minus the gloves. But that's one thing I have noticed is people that do bring fellow bare knuckle fighters into their camps and into their corners and stuff like that seem to be having more success because these guys are familiar with what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of coaches, that are studying the sport, but it's really new. So the people that are most experienced right now are they're us,
the workers,
right now. So I feel like I'm going to be an asset, when I retire, and a lot of people are going to need my knowledge, and a lot of people are going to want to come to me to train for their bare knuckle fights. Me being as successful as I have been, and the studying that I've done, and the mixture of Muay Thai and boxing has been amazing for me. The Muay Thai with the clinch, I'm just, it's natural for me to hook. If I miss the hook, or if the head goes down, boom, I'm coming with the uppercuts, or I'm shifting to the side, creating angles. But I think that a lot of the boxing guys, they still don't understand the defense and the offense change. Like, I can't go full power all the time. I'm going to break my hand. And boxing is just like, snap, go hard, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah.
But if I do that on my fight in the first round, I might break my hands, and then I won't be good for the next 4. So I have to be careful, and I've learned that. I've made I don't want to say mistakes, but I've made my mistakes, And,
You've learned trial by fire.
right. And I'm learning on the job each fight. So it's good because I know that I'm going to use this and my experience and everything that I'm gaining right now that nobody has, and I'm going to be offering that to the next generation.
So is that the plan when you're done fighting? Is you want that you want to be doing training? Or are you like trying to open up your own spot, or like have you put much thought into that?
Yeah. I have I haven't done it yet. I have some stuff that I still need to figure out in my personal life that I haven't, I'm just focusing on being the greatest of all time right now. And when I'm able to solidify that and make that happen, then I can transition over into helping the fighters. I know a lot of guys, they train and they fight professionally and they have their own gym, but I mean, what true I mean, how successful can you be if your mind is there, there, you know? So I feel like I'm focusing on one whole thing right now. I'm being very selfish, but I will give back soon. You know, I'm going to be able to give back soon, and I'm going to have a lot of knowledge. I want to give my fighters 100% of me, and I know I can't give my fighters 100% of me right. Even people I train, like I'm like, hey, I can't train you like for 8 weeks out for my fight, or like I'll miss some days with them because I'm tired and because I train like a freaking animal, you know, and I have certain days that I can't get up, and I'm like, fuck, I just dead, dude. I need to recover for the next day or my next session or something. So that's why I haven't really dove into that. I did a little experimental training, you know, training some guys that wanted to fight, and I know I got it, and I know I can convey, uh, you know, technique, and I know I can teach a lot of people and motivate them. I have the mental game on lock, I have the physical game on lock, and I have the skill set on lock. I want to get under some really good coaches too, and put myself with them to gain the experience, because I know there's a lot of things just like trial and error as being a fighter that I've learned over the years is going to be the same thing as a coach. So I kind of want to get a little bit more under me before I really, you know, take someone else's career in my hands, because this is serious. And I know how some coaches will take fighters on that they know they're not ready for, or they're not a
Don't have the
match
time for.
or don't have the time for, or you know, and I never want
A project fighter, you could say, you know, something they want to mold into what they could be, but they're not at that level yet, type of.
right. And I don't want to do that to a fighter, because that's selfish. I'm not going to do that.
I mean,
Totally
look at like
respect it.
somebody like James Krause, who just, you know, stepped away from MMA and as a whole, but is still doing an amazing job in coaching. And I mean, every week he's got a new guy making his debut into the UFC because he's done such a good job. But to your point, kind of letting his career take, you know, the backside and letting coaching be the forefront, you know, and that's to truly be a successful coach. That's the only way you can do it, is to be almost selfless. You want to improve the athlete as much as possible, you know, besides yourself.
That's a selfless job. And I know that all the decisions, like I forgot who I was talking to, but I was like, you know, if I'm training a guy or a girl and I know, or he or she wants to move on or leave me because they feel somewhere else is better, I am not going to be one of those coaches that is going to knock him or her. It's going to hurt. I know that. It's going to fucking hurt. But I don't want to be that one to hold them back and then make them feel bad for it. You know, I have to understand that
Right.
sometimes they outgrow me, you know, or maybe I might not want to train them sometimes. You know, it has to be a let go thing. Like it has to mesh together, and it can't be such a, oh, you're mine. You know, no,
Mm-hmm.
it should
Yeah.
be
I
a
mean,
relationship.
look at what you did with your camp going into this one, you know, splitting them amongst camp, you know, even something as simple as that. If you're trying to hold diligent onto one of your fighters and not allowing him to do stuff like
Well,
that,
think
that's,
about what
you
Sam
know,
Alvey said last week. Sam Alvey said last week that when he moved to Nashville, you know, he was training at Michael Chandler's gym, and he was going to split his time between there and training with Hendo and them out there, and they didn't want it. They weren't cool with that. Even though he talked to Mike Chandler, and he's like, "Wow, that's good. Like, great that you're training there." You know what I mean? But the people that were actually running the gym didn't like that. So, I mean, like you said, I've seen it even in gyms that I've trained at. So,
Oh yeah, no,
it's all over.
yeah, and it's just about people setting their ego aside, and really looking at what's best for the coach and for the fighter, for both of them mentally, because this is 90% mental, this whole game.
Not kidding.
So we have to remember that about each other, and just know that we're doing the right thing for ourselves, and that this is a selfish sport. We're always going to have to do what's right for us as a fighter, and especially and a coach too, for them too. If you're a poison to the team, then you got to let some people go. You know, if someone isn't and the energy isn't going, then let's just go our separate ways and not be drama and bullshit.
Right.
You know, because it
if,
from both of us, it makes us look like fucking clowns, really. You know.
It
So-
could all
If
just be
only
so
life was
simple,
that-
but it never
yeah.
plays out that
Oh,
way.
right? No. Okay, yeah. Oh no, if we don't get along anymore, we're just gonna walk away. Bullshit. We're gonna fucking kill each other right before we leave.
Or you show up at the next fight and you run into each other, and it's like that's the thing. Like I learned real quick, like MMA and like the fight circle in general, no matter where you're at, if it's like your general state or like in your case, like the BKFC community or whatever, like it's small. It might not seem like it's small, but it's really small. So like
No,
once shit like
You know what I'm saying? The whole fight game is small. So, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
see an old coach at this next fight. But there's no hard feelings for me. He's a great coach, and he's, you know what I mean. It's just we had our time and we moved on. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about me. If you see each fight, I get better each fight.
Yeah.
And I'm changing each fight, and I'm getting older each fight. And so it's like, whoa, like I'm doing something right. You know?
I mean,
Can't argue. I mean, you got the
mentality
belt.
thing? Is it
Huh?
a mentality thing, you think? Is that
Oh,
because
yeah.
that also seems to be a big difference in your game compared to a lot of these other girls that you're going against? Is like you go in there almost with you can see it on your face. You have that expectation of I'm going to win this fight. I'm about to go do this type of like, you know.
There's no other way. And I study a lot of I study a lot of greats and their mentality and how they approach the game and how they approach the fight or their basketball, football. You know, I study a lot of athletes, a lot of Mayweather, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. I study these guys, and I study their strength and conditioning coaches, and because strength and conditioning coach also helps with your mind. So it is 100% your mind. You have to have a strong mind, and you have to face things head on, straight up. You have to face everything head on, because if you don't and you avoid shit, you're gonna do that shit in the fight. And if I see you in a fight and I'm fighting you and I see you avoiding shit like in a submissive or a passive aggressive way, I'm gonna fuck you up. But if you're right in my face, boom, like I'm going toe to toe with you, then that's a little bit more of a problem for somebody else, you know? And that's whatever you do in life, whatever you do in the ring, you're gonna do in life. And whatever you do in life, you're gonna do in the ring, period. Because it's when you're in there, it's instinctual. You can't hide. You can't lie. If you didn't fucking do your road work, if you didn't work out, if you didn't commit yourself,
it'll come out.
fucking show. It's going to fucking show. If you're weak, it will be exposed.
Dude, the funniest thing about it, and we've talked about it on the show, is like Corey and I had talked about. I started fighting when I was like 13. He was at a fight I had when I was 16, and just what you talked about with road work and all that shit. I remember telling him on the way up, man, trying to make weight that day. It was like, damn it, dude. Like running through like 80-degree heat, and you're just like feeling all sucked out and just all pissed off. Like, yo, just let me chill out. Like, you know what I mean? Just get the hell away from me.
I'm running sand hills right now at 5,000 or 500, 6,000 feet right now.
that's
Getting
a
at it, that
vicious
cardio.
animal. I know for a fact running sandhills is something else because I've done that before up at Lake Michigan myself. The sand dunes out there, they're 40 feet tall, and good luck making it to the top, you know, more than once. It's
right. We're sprinting. I'm like, this is not a sprint.
yeah, your legs just die. Like you push it, you get like that first crest of the hill, and you're like, sweet, I'm about to fucking
like, cool.
put this in. Yeah, and you just you lose your legs,
especially if you got music in your ears. It's a lie.
Yeah, I know.
Out music this time, and I'm doing it again Saturday. I'm gonna use my music. Well, actually, you know, there's this thing that I use that it's really like if you listen to what I listen to, like when I run and like do stuff, it's like, you are great. You can do this. You are powerful. This shit really works though. Like this, like what it does to your subconscious. Like when you're running and you want to fucking stop and you have something that's repeating. Like this thing is on repeat. You know what I mean? Like over and over. Like you're built for this. You were made for this sport. Da 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 da. Like over and over and over.
That's like, a real thing.
It's real. It's real.
It's a real thing. Like I read DDP's book, and he talks a lot about mindset and things like that. And I listened to the audio book of it while I was working out and stuff. And it's like, it would be like the most simple stuff, like how you'd say it, but like The one that I took out of there that I think about all the time is he said like life is like 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. Like basically saying like you're gonna have shit that's gonna happen, but it's 90% of how you allow that to affect what your next move is. Kind of like in a fight. I mean, if you go and make a uncalculated move or whatever it is, that's how you get caught. And sometimes that can be the end of your night. But I mean, in your case, you've been on quite the roll. I mean, as I mentioned when we were chatting about having you come on the show and all that, you know, Britain Hart's a past guest of this show too, and you handled business in the last fight. I mean, tell me about that. You know, you guys have fought twice now. Everybody was talking about that. You know, you had a hell of a fight, obviously getting the W, getting the belt and all that. You know, what are your thoughts on those fights now that you've had time to train and as you get ready for a whole new opponent?
So what do I feel about the Britain Hart fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I should have figured out a lot faster. Way faster. You know, it was a cool fight. You know, I beat the hell out of her, but I mean, I feel like I was that was my worst night. That was my worst. I was at my worst, and she was at her best. That's how I feel that night. I just didn't feel on that night, but I mean, I got it done. You know, I got the job done. I'm not gonna let Britain Hart beat me. You know, I mean, it is what it is. Even the first fight, I didn't like how I beat her because of the cut. You know, it would have been anyway, but I don't like how it got stopped, and then she had an excuse. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
That's just being a perfectionist, though. Like finding something wrong in a performance where you won. I mean, that's like did you listen to man, I was watching the Contender Series the other day, man, and the kid knocked the guy out in finished him in like 2 minutes flat, and he's like, yeah, well, I could have done this, this, and this, and I'm like, well, shit, dude.
Baby, champion behavior, okay? Yeah. And that's what it takes, and that's what it's a really this sport, you can't ever get full of yourself. You can't ever think that you can say you're the best and all that shit, but you got to know somewhere in your mind that someone's out there training better, training faster, training more strength, having better mental game. There's someone out there that can fucking beat you. So for Taylor Starling, you know, in my mind, she's a world champion, and she has the ability to fucking take my belt. She has the ability to knock me out. In my mind, she's very dangerous, because I'm not going in there thinking, oh, this little 26-year-old that, you know, shaky leg, you know, I'm not going in there, even though I know that's what it is. I don't believe that in my heart. In my heart, I believe she's a savage and she's a beast, and she has what it takes to take what I have. So when I'm in training and I'm running and I'm sparring, I'm pushing past every limit I have, and that's how I feel like you should be in everything. If you have a girl, you have a man. I mean, don't get lazy, because another motherfucker's gonna be right there to take your bitch or take your dude. That's straight up, dude. It's someone's right there waiting, you know, and that goes for your job, that goes for everything.
You're not wrong.
The pressure in life and the pressure in fighting, in sports, you just have to be prepared for it and be healthy. So you got to eat right. That everything is chemical. So you got to eat right, drink your water, do your running, take care of yourself, and then you're going to be able to keep up or outdo everybody and keep your shit. Because everybody's looking at what you have, dude. And that's just human nature. Just fucking human nature. It's not personal. It's human nature.
Yeah, I mean, especially in your spot where you're at the championship level, you know, like even if you're just in contention, though, you say you're number 5 ranking, number 7's hungry for that chance to eat that cereal, you know, give him the chance.
Yeah, she studied, like Taylor just said on a podcast last night. She said, I've been watching you since I knew was going to fight her since the beginning. So she's been watching me the whole time. You know, and I see these fighters doing the same thing I'm doing. These girls, they're buying the same things I have. They're doing the same shit. They ain't doing it at the intensity of I'm doing it. And I don't post all my intensity, and I don't post all the shit I do. You know what I mean? I do keep some stuff secret, but I know that they follow what I do and they try to match it. And I know that.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Right?
Yeah.
True.
That's what I was going to say. I think that just boils down to a respect thing because, like I mentioned before, you can just see how your game really shows out in these fights against a lot of these girls. And these are the top level, you know, proven BKFC talent and stuff like
Right.
that. We've seen them in incredible fights, you know, but stack them up against you, and it's just like, man, it you know, looks one-sided almost, you know.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to keep that and to keep that same energy and to keep that same drive and that same hunger. Just I heard another thing the other day from Chell Sonnen,
Chael
right?
Sonnen, yep.
Sonnen.
Yeah, chill. Yeah.
So he said, you know, when you've been doing this so long, you know, you go to practice, some days you're like, fuck, I want to go learn something and shit. But when you've been in this shit 15, 20 years, I mean, it gets hard to fucking go and get up and run and do all this shit. So it's what really gets you is the discipline. When you have to have that discipline instilled in you, because I can get to the top and be like, oh shit, I'm good. Like I'm the best, right? I'm strong. I dominate everybody. And then I start to slack a little bit. And that's when they're going to get me. But my discipline kicks in and I know I got to go run no matter what. I got to go sprint no matter what. No, it doesn't matter. Everybody's telling me, oh, Taylor's nothing. You're going to run right through her. I don't let that shit get in my head. You know, I stick to my discipline. You know, there's days that I have to miss because I'm fucking tired and I need to recover, but that's also part of
The
training.
rest is part of it.
Yeah, knowing when and when you're mentally overloaded, knowing when not to and taking that step back. Okay, I'm going to go do my little thing that relieves my stress. I'm going to take that moment. I don't have to be 100. I have to be 100%, but 100% is still taking that time for yourself. You know what I mean? Or you're not going to be clear.
Michael Bisping talks about it all the time. He says it takes confidence to take a day off. You know, like you have to have confidence in the fact of where you're at in your camp, where your skills are at, and the fact that, hey, it is the day that, you know, I've put in 4 straight weeks of hard ass work. You know, yesterday was just a hard day.
I just did straight 10, you know, and I take a day, take a fucking day, you know, and I'm like, okay, I got to take that day. And tomorrow I'm going to go spar and I'm going to fuck this guy up. Not really, but I'm going to try. The guy I'm sparring is a beast, but you know, my intent is to fuck his ass up, you know?
I totally get it. So what are you doing when you're not training? Like when you're not training, like what do you like to do? Are you a gamer? Do you like concerts? Do you like just chilling?
I just chill. I like to, if I have my girl around, you know, we'll do our thing. You know what I mean? That's pretty much my extracurricular. But other than that, dude, I study fights. You know, that's all I do. I'm like obsessed. And that's another thing when I study these guys, and you know, it's about being obsessed with what you do. If you're not, there's always gonna be the chink in the armor, I think. I just don't want to just give my energy to anything else. And my personal life has suffered, my social life has suffered, and my family life and stuff like that. But I committed myself to this, and I'm being the greatest of all time. So I can't help it. It's not going to change until I'm retired. And I'm probably going to give that same fucking energy as a coach. It's probably never going to change. I'm probably always going to be. I'm married to the game, dude.
I respect it.
I'm married to the fucking game, and it's the only thing that I can trust. You know, it's the only thing that I know is gonna be there to, you know, that I can see that I'm getting better. Like the work that I put in, no matter what, it's gonna show. You know, that's where I
totally respect it.
I just feel like it's the only thing that's really like fulfilled me completely. You know what I mean? To where I know it's not going anywhere. People come and go, and you know, just I feel like the game's always there, so I just kind of stuck to that.
Yeah, you can't leave yourself. So if you're able to improve yourself as much as possible, you know, and finding your escapes is a huge thing, like you had mentioned before. Finding those things that do bring you even short amounts of happiness, so you are able to get over the tough times. You know, all that stuff is very important.
Yeah. The mental. So you know, in the camps, I'm sure you understand. Like, you get mentally down. You know, you're breaking down your body, you're cutting weight, you're pushing yourself past your fucking physical and mental and emotional limits.
Dehydrated as shit.
Yeah. Every day you're pushing yourself to like levels that you shouldn't be doing. People are like, what the fuck? I can't believe you do that. But I do that every day. Every day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to have a really strong, you have to be strong within, because nobody can be there for you 100%.
And
You
you got to
have to be.
want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you don't have to always do it. That's where I said the discipline comes in.
But that's what I'm saying. You have to want to do it versus somebody else having to do it for you.
Oh,
It ain't a sport where somebody can like, it's not a sport where, okay, it's like in football where you got 11 different guys. Well, okay, I'm blocking this dude and, you know, there's another guy who can hit him. In a fight, if you didn't put in the road work, like you said, if you didn't put in the sparring, if you didn't put in the work to go try to learn the new technique that you're going to try to use, whatever it might be in a given situation, my point is in MMA and boxing and bare knuckle boxing, you can't hide that shit. And if you aren't doing it, it's gonna show like that, and it's gonna show up at the worst time.
Can't throw in a sub or like, hey, come out. Someone send someone back in. I'm in there alone, dude. Someone's in there that is trying to kill my ass when I'm alone doing it. I don't got my brother that crack somebody from the side or nothing like that. You know, it's me. And I'm on TV in front of everybody. And this person's trying to embarrass the shit out of me and knock out the most savage in the game. That's what they want to do. They want clout. They want that street cred. You know what I mean? And I know that.
Yeah. And you talk about being on TV. It seems like BKFC has done an amazing job of building up their company, man, and really starting to garner some real viewership numbers and stuff like that. I mean, and you've done an amazing job in helping to build that with the success of the women's division as a whole, really. I mean, I feel like that's been a huge shining star for BKFC throughout their short tenure, is their women's division has been hot, and you've been the leader basically throughout. So, I mean, speak on that.
I've been pretty consistent, and you know, they do an awesome job, and the names that they're bringing in, the money they're putting out to bring in the names to make their company bigger, and the bigger and better they do, the bigger and better I get, and I do. So I'm working for them. They're, you know, we work for each other. They're helping promote me. I'm helping, you know, build the name and being the best athlete I can be, and being respectful and doing the whole entertainment side and doing, you know, and then but still keeping my warrior side and the respect for the sport, you know, that I'm a Muay Thai fighter first, so I was brought up with a lot of respect and honor, you know, and they don't really do that entertainment stuff in Muay Thai, and so I've had to adjust myself and learn a different side of the game, you know, to be able to, you know, everybody isn't into the warrior life, you know, or, you know, they just want to see a knockout. They want to see the blood. They just want to have the fight on in the background while they're having a party or the social, you know, it doesn't mean what it means to us fighters, you know, so, and I have to understand that. And there's an entertainment side to this, you know, so that's been a transition for me too. You know, I went from like straight up fucking warrior, fucking Muay Thai savage, to, okay, let me transition a little bit into making my career a little bit more lucrative and getting more numbers behind me, you know, and followers and stuff. You know, I'm not the sexy little girl in heels, so I have to find a different, you know, angle to get followers and stuff like that. And I try to do it organically as possible. You know, I love motivating people. I love pushing people. I love being positive, you know, positivity to people and get like the Misfits. That's why I'm Misfit. Like you can come from the bottom and still get to the top as long as you work hard. You know, so that's how I want to shine. And it might not be as big as, you know, shaking my ass and showing my ass or whatever, but that's the way I'm gonna approach the game. That's how I'm
leaving an impact.
Yeah, that's the way I'm doing it, and it might not be, but that's just who I am, and I can't change that. You know, I can't change that.
Well, the girls that just, you know, get a following because they're able to just shake it. Once they, you know, lose one or two fights, all of a sudden the hype falls right off. When you're able, when you're able to actually build up a serious following because you're actually out there proving your merit and, you know, putting on these posts and stuff that are actually trying to uplift people and give them a reason to actually want to follow you beyond just the fights themselves. You know, I feel like that's a big thing.
I do want to address, just because they're pretty and they're showing their ass doesn't mean they can't fight. Like, I
Oh,
want to.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm just saying, like, some people are pushed that shouldn't be pushed. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That are getting more fights, more money, more all this stuff, and more followers. But there are ones that are very beautiful that can fight, but beat the shit out of me. You know what I mean? So I also want to clarify on that. I'm not saying just because you're pretty you can't fight.
You're not knocking nobody's hustle.
I mean,
Yeah,
look
no,
at from like the boxing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, no, I'm not knocking no one's hustle and how they're providing for their kids, their family. That's something that I'm not going to let the motherfucking media or let anybody fucking say that I'm doing, because that's not how I am. And that's not how I treat people. And that's not how I feel about my fellow female warriors or females in general. I know where we're at, and I know how we're treated, and I know what these girls have to do sometimes, you know, to get where they got to be. And I don't want it that way. You know what I mean? I want to show that you can just be a fucking athlete. Just be a fucking athlete. You know what I mean? And if there's girls that just want to do that and they don't want to do that other extra stuff, you know what? You can be that. You know, you don't have to fucking go outside of that and do that just to be successful. So, but like I said, not knocking anyone's.
No, I like
For
the
sure.
clarification because, like you say, I got 2 daughters myself, so I know exactly how, you know, dealing with all the, you know, raising 2 little ones and expectations of what may be and what could be and all this, that, and the other. But like you say, it's more about what do you want to do that actually makes you happy. If you're able to build your following, whichever way it comes,
right,
but you're actually content with where, you know, the direction that you're taking yourself, that's all that matters. It's not what other people think, especially in professional sports, because there's so many critics out there. There's so many people like me that love to sit in the background, have you guys on, and love to have discussions, but then, you know, discuss the fights after on, you know, like
right.
you guys are the ones actually laying it out there. So of course, do whatever makes you happy and it builds your career to what you find successful. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And everybody has, I heard David Feldman say before, everybody has a reason for why they fight. Some people don't give a shit. They don't want a legacy. They just want to make some money.
Yep.
You know, there's some people that want to be the greatest. There's some people that they have all sorts of different reasons, you know, and I respect everybody's reason, you know.
So as you go into this matchup with Taylor, you know, obviously each fight brings a different bag of tricks. Like you said, you know, she's become known of her big entrances and stuff like that. You talked about a little bit more of the entertainment side. I don't know. Are you gonna try to pull any of the entrances out the bag? You know, we cover pro wrestling too. I mean, are you gonna try to combat the flashy entrances that we've seen heading into this fight?
I mean, I'm a subtle person. You know, I have my little thing going on, and I come in and I just roll in, do my shit. Sometimes I'm feeling it. Sometimes I feel like, you know, like I'm hype. Sometimes I just walk. Sometimes I'm in a zone. I don't know. I'm an instinctual person, so I go based on my instinct. I trust my instincts, how I'm supposed to enter into that. I know a lot. I have people around me doing, oh, you should do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. I'm like, you know what? This is what I fucking do. And maybe I'll do that.
Max.
I'll tell you fight day. You know what I mean? Because I don't do this whole planning and shit. And
Yep.
I just kind of like, okay, yeah, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this. But that's like probably last moment I decided to do that.
Calling
shit,
it on the fly.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
I can't plan like, oh, Taylor's going to do this or she's going to do that. Well, what if she
Yep.
trained for that? What if she bettered that? You know what I'm saying? She keeps her hands low, but what if she keeps her hands high now? You know, or you know, she gets tired fast, but what if she doesn't now? You know, so I just keep my mind open for the entertainment side and for my fights. You know, so people are like, oh, your game plan. I was like, I have about 50 game plans. I don't know which one you want. Like, I'll tell you after.
Like I end up saying all the time when we're breaking down fights and making our picks and stuff on here, fights are so circumstantial. It can go one way or another, all depending on what circumstances lay out in front of them. You know, like you say, somebody could make one slight alteration, like Juliana Pena was just saying in this Amanda Nunes rematch, where she was saying, I wasn't expecting her to fight Southpaw. It threw me completely for a loop. I mean, you can say what you want, whether that was the reason or not, but that's a legitimate point. If you weren't expecting somebody to completely, flip their style, it could really throw you off your game plan if that's your one game plan.
You would either way, but whatever.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I had to throw that little point in there. But
I don't know how she did it the first time. I was like, I feel like Amanda was bored and she's just like, just let somebody beat me real quick, or she didn't train or something. Because
you think it just woke her up?
I think it might have been that. I think it might have been the newborn baby. The baby was still. I can't think of their baby's name. I think it might be Rogan Nunes or something like that. But
I just know that Amanda Nunes, like Pena, is not the one to beat Nunes, bro. Like what? Because I didn't watch it, and I was like, what? I woke up in the morning like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, like Pena's she's a great athlete, but she's definitely not on Nunes' level.
I don't think, and like you said, there's not many people that are. And I think what got her the win in that fight was the fact that she did what few people have done when they fight her, and that's just charge forward and get in her face and scrap with her. I feel like you said, with the mental part of the game, most people that fight Nunes, it just seems like
that's how Taylor thinks she's gonna beat me. But she doesn't. She doesn't understand. I have a fucking men in my face that do that to me all practice. Like it's not like I don't have people doing that to me. That's why I crush people, because I'm constantly getting my ass whooped. That's why I crush women, because I never win in training. I never win. I get my ass whooped every sparring match. I don't win ever. The only time I win is fight night.
That's the time you need to win. Fuck it.
That's what makes the win so special, right? Getting your hand raised when it matters. But
yeah, I swear to God, I'll be getting my ass whooped. I swear people are in there looking at me like, damn, she's fucking, that's Misfit. Like, then I go in there and crush people, and they wonder why. And it's, I come back to the gym like, yep. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this all over again, boys.
Well, what makes with this matchup, like, what makes this fight different? Like, how do you see this fight going? Do you think it's going to be something where you're going to just out scrap her? Are you trying to box? I mean, not trying to tell game plans or anything, but I mean, every fight's different. And I feel like your last fight, your slickness on the feet and you're being able to move in and out, like you said, cutting those angles, was what made the difference in that fight for you. So how do you see going into this fight with Taylor being different, and how do you see it playing out?
I just see me, I'm just smarter than her. I just have a lot more experience. I know how to trick her. I just think that my experience and my tricks, I haven't had to use all my tricks. I haven't really had to dig that deep, to pull out. I haven't even had to pull out my savage yet, like my crazy. I haven't even that out yet. So I just, she's young. She's young, and I just feel like I'm 10 steps ahead in everything I do. With everything in the game right now, I'm 10 steps ahead. She doesn't have the experience to beat me. She can catch me with a lucky shot. That's always possible. This is a fucking fight, and it's a bare knuckle fight. Right. But I'm not that dumb. I'm not emotional in there.
That's important.
Me and Britain's buildup was insane. Did you watch it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so how
I just rewatched it again today, actually.
Well, no, did you see the buildup though? Like
I watched the whole thing. We watched the whole thing as it happened too.
Okay, so as crazy as that was, I had not 1 ounce of emotion in that ring. And me and Taylor, it's not even close to that. me and Britain, like, that would have been where you would have seen somebody lose control on somebody, how much I disliked her, you know, and how much I don't respect her. But I respect the game, and I respect that you can get fucking caught at any time by anybody. Just like when I fought Helen Peralta, I got caught by a girl that just throws wild punches. You know what I'm saying? So I learned, and through experience, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just take anyone lightly, and you don't have emotion in there. It's a fucking fight. Go in there, clear minded, and do your job. You know what I mean? So I think that she's super hyped for this fight, and when she actually feels, I don't think she's ever felt power before, honestly. And I think it's gonna freak her the fuck out when she feels, when I felt power for real, when I was doing my MMA thing, and then when I went to boxing and I felt real power over there, even in kids, it was a whole fucking different game. And I highly doubt that she's been hit like that, or she's been hit so hard that she can't see. I've been hit so hard I couldn't see. You know what I'm saying? And I know how to handle that. You don't even know what fight that was, probably, because you probably don't fucking know. And it was my very first fight with Jennifer Tate. I almost got knocked the fuck out in that fight. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
then I composed myself, didn't fucking show it, and knocked her the fuck out. So I just don't think she's had enough experience in that. You know, I know that
Being
she
through the
can.
trenches.
Yeah, I'm bringing her to the trenches. If she stays alive, I'm dragging her. I'm dragging her and I'm drowning her. You know what I'm saying? I know she could take shots, but she was fighting at 115 pounds and
Yeah.
take. So I see how tough. I watched her glory fights. I think, you know what I mean. So, like, she was taking, shots from a girl that was backing up, or a Muay Thai fight was backing up, and not really aggressive and not super strong, but very good, very technical and skillful. And she was getting pieced up, but she still kept coming forward. But the girl wasn't, wah, wah, you know what I mean? Didn't know how to.
Putting everything in it.
Yeah, she didn't know how to throw that power into it. And Taylor was keeping the girl on her heels, so she was moving back, so she couldn't come forward. You know what I mean? So Taylor would run into front kicks and run into kicks as the girl's kind of like going back. It wasn't just like a wah, So
Yep.
but I still know that she could take damage and go in, like Sagala fight. She can be bloody and keep coming. So
It's like you said, not knocking the hustle.
Yeah, definitely not. But I don't. The way I hit is different, And I trained my first coach, Muay Thai, Renzo Sparia, in Hard Knocks Muay Thai. He used to have a 25-pound vest on me with weighted gloves and doing pad work, dude. Like,
The arm's just dead after 2 minutes. Yeah.
and then we would run before. He would make us run 2 or 3 miles before we do our Muay Thai, and then after Muay Thai, strength and conditioning. And that's the run. That's 30-minute run, and then an hour Muay Thai, then an hour of strength conditioning. And that was is brutal. And then I did that twice a day for years. It was probably overtraining. Like, I didn't back then. I know why now, because that was too much. But he made me unbreakable. He made me an animal. He made me very strong. And I don't think, I know she trains hard, but I don't think she's had old school trainers like that. Like, this guy's from Peru, like a beast, super beast. And then I went to, Dewey Cooper, Gil Martinez. If you know who Gil Martinez is,
Yep.
Oh my God. Gil Martinez his team is unbreakable. When it's practice from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day. And then on Sunday, the day off is your running day. So, I mean, I've been trained by really tough men and world-class dudes, you know. I go to some gyms and sometimes I'm like, whew, this is how they train. Holy shit. Like, wait until they meet these guys. You know what I mean? So, I just don't know. I just know that I have confidence in my training and my background, and
You're built
my
different.
I am. I really am, and I kept and very thankful to these coaches, even though I hated them half the time. Very, very grateful for everything that they put me through in terms of the physical and the mental. And they have great mental strength and push, and it takes a very good coach to push you that way, and to have it takes a lot out of you to train someone like that. When coaches are on you like that, that takes a lot from them too, because we're sitting there like fucking not wanting to do it.
You're not.
And they're on
They don't want to
you.
have to keep yelling at you too.
Yeah, no, and they do, and they're consistent about it, So I am built different, and I have a lot of great men led me.
I had coaches like that around me too, so I can relate. Like I said, I started around like 06, so like my coaches, a lot of them were fighting back in the NHB days and stuff like that. And so, like I said, I could completely relate. Like, matter of fact, anyone that's followed the show, when I had my stomach surgery, I was training for a jiu-jitsu tournament even, and we're still turning off the fans so that everybody can make weight and sweating like hell. And then that's when I ended up figuring out that my stomach was going to blow up. But it's all good. I didn't end up getting to compete in that one, but it was funny. I'll never forget Don calling me and being like, damn, I guess I know from now on, because you never complain about being hurt, if you said there was something wrong. Because just like you said, I'll never forget, don't be I'll leave the word for your imagination, but don't be a bitch, get back on the mat, essentially.
Yeah, I remember training one time. I was sparring a guy, and when I was younger, I was very angry, little lady. So I was in there sparring. He was like a big dude too. He's like, well, he was like a little taller than me, but just big, and I'm little me. I think I'm fucking. Oh, sorry, I keep cussing, but I think I'm like
all good.
All free on this show.
I'm unbreakable, right? I'm unbreakable, so I'm fighting this guy. I'm hitting him as hard as he can, and he's like hitting me hard, and I'm starting to get mad because he's hurting me, right? And so he starts kicking me, and so I'm like here, so I'm sparring him, and he starts kicking my leg, and I'm like, oh, and then I stopped checking it because I was like, fuck you, I'll take it, right? So he starts, and I had shin pads on, and I just left it here and kicked it, boom. Then he broke my shin, right? So broke my shin, dude. So I go, I'm like, I would sit there and I put it down. I was like, oh, I can't like put any weight on it. So I was like, fuck, he must have like cramped my leg or something. So I go to the corner, and then my coach let it go on because he said, don't go so hard, don't go so hard. And I don't listen. You know what I'm saying? I was just going. He tried to stop it. So he's like, whatever, do your thing then. I learned, but I didn't know it was broken for like weeks. And then I'm still riding my bike. Like, what is it hurt so bad? And he's just like, whatever, then just stand there and do punches. You know what I mean? Like, it's just old school training and just and the stubbornness I had as a kid. But we were tough, and he's the type of coach that was just like, if you don't listen, okay, I'll let you learn your lesson. You know what I mean? So I know now, like when I'm in there with some bigger guys and I'm getting pissed off, I need to that's where I learned my.
You got to keep your cool.
Got it. You have to. You get hit and you get mad, dude. I've had my boy Chris, Muay Thai fighter too. I would get mad because he he was so smooth. He was a basketball player too, so in Muay Thai he was so smooth, and he just beat me up and I just
throwing
looked
kicks like it ain't nothing.
Oh yeah, beautiful, right? I would get so mad, and then. He threw me through the ropes, and it had a wall on the back. There was a wall.
Hey.
Just dumb shit. So I learned. I was the knucklehead, the hard-headed. I learned the hard way. And that's why I can't keep my composure. And I love these coaches because they let me learn my lesson.
See, I can completely relate because of that, because that's the same way I came up. Same thing happened with that thing with my stomach, like I said, with my Crohn's. Oh, shit, you're okay, blah, 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 whatever. Like, I grew up with CP, right? I had CP and Crohn's disease. So, like, me fighting was never a thing that anyone would have ever guessed. I remember my doctor had a heart attack. And, that's why I say, like, I could completely relate with your nickname, because the group of kids that I worked with, I used to work with kids with disabilities and all those kind of things, and they called their group the Misfits, you know. So like to see you talk about that story and that kind of thing, like I can completely relate with that, because working with some of those kids, like I'll never forget, I got to work with a kid probably about 18 years old, or no, he was 16 at the time. And so he's looking at me the same way most people look at, you know, people. When you've been dealing with that shit for years, it just is what it is, you know. But like he's looking at me like, what the fuck do you know about it? The same as like what you were saying with the coaches, like letting you learn for yourself. And so like while I was working with the kid, you know, it's like telling him like he doesn't know that I chose my senior year to have my Achilles tendon cut and had to have perk surgery. So then you got to learn how to walk again. He doesn't know that at 13 years old, I took a fight in Detroit, which with one of our past guests who, full circle, like we said, we talked pro wrestling. One of the wrestlers we worked with later, we fought on the same card when I was 13. Like, wow. It's crazy. It's crazy how life works, man. And so it's crazy getting to do things like that, because you never know, like you were talking about earlier, the impact that you're able to make. But before I let you get out of here, you know, you mentioned getting thrown into the wall and bounced off the ropes. Like I said, we talk about pro wrestling over here. We've had everybody on here from Booker T to Diamond Dallas Page and Eric Bischoff and everybody in between. So were you ever a wrestling fan? And if so, of who?
Well, when I was a kid, I'm old my age right now, but Hogan was the thing, you know what I mean? So Hogan
was the thing when I was a kid too, so it's all right.
Yes. My age, all good, but yeah, Hulk Hogan, that was my dude, you know. and you know,
was NWO Hogan or Red and Yellow Hogan?
Red and Yellow.
Okay, Hulkamania then.
Yes, Hulkamania, but Undertaker used to scare the shit out of me, dude.
That dude is he's a big dude.
Yeah.
No, just the way he looked was like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
and he kept it wherever he went.
Yeah.
I'll forever remember being like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old or something, same deal, and watching Undertaker versus Kane, and it was like both of the evil bad guys against each other, and I'm like watching it like, what's gonna happen? You know, like little kid in the back, like what?
I had no idea.
Yeah, my pops used to talk about it because he worked at the airport. Like when he would come in, it's funny, the kids like back in the day, because like I said, he was one of the few that like everywhere you saw him, even he wouldn't obviously be in his ring gear, but this dude was in all black wherever he was at up until like about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's like you'd see him in the airport. My dad said you'd just see these kids and he'd turn and look at them, and these kids would just try to hide behind their kids and shit. There's there's not too many guys that can evoke that, but it's funny you say that, because the Undertaker was the first one that got me when I was watching wrestling, where I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, right? We were watching it and I just seen this guy walk across the screen and the lights went out, the big ass dude that he is, and I'm just like, damn, this dude is fucking scary. Well, I wouldn't want to stand in the ring and fight this son of a bitch.
I'll be like, nah, I'm good, bro. We're good.
We're good. Just leave the lights on. Fuck the flicker in the lights. We're all good.
You're the champ.
So that's a question though. So since you did watch some of it, what do you think about like the MMA fighters that have made their way over that? Is it again like same thing? Like, I'm not knocking anybody's hustle, because I got to be there for Ronda doing her thing when she made her debut, and man, I didn't know what to think, because I wondered, like, with her fight background and all that, is she really going to be able to get down with it? But I'm like, you know what? Hats off, dude. She did all right.
So I know it's hard still, and I know it still hurts. You know what I mean? So it's still that physical push. And I mean, even though it's choreographed and shit, it still hurts. I mean, but yeah, I'm not knocking the hustle. And you know, for Ronda, Ronda she went up real fast, and then she had a crash. So I'm sure, I have compassion and empathy for her struggle, and I appreciate what she did for women's sports. If I was offered millions of dollars to do wrestling, I'm sure I'm not going to say no. I'm a real, or I'm not saying or not. But,
yeah. Kurt Angle said the same thing. It's all right. He goes, I'm a real wrestler. So, I mean,
right. Like I'm sure I wouldn't turn it down, so.
Yeah. As somebody who does the show as basically an exclusive MMA background and, you know, BKFC and so on and so forth. I've gotten to do the show now for roughly 2 years and dealt with all these wrestlers and stuff like that, and got to kind of feel the behind the scenes, how the layout is in the current era and stuff like that. And to your point, I'll never knock no one's hustle. You know, like even if it's not my favorite thing in the world, there's a reason why people are fans of these guys, and they put in the work to get to that point. So I'll always respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing, so earlier in my career, I would knock a lot of different people because I'm like, no, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, and no, it's supposed to be this way. No, we're supposed to do it that way. But as you get older, you realize that ain't true. That's not fucking true. So as I've gotten older, I accept everybody better and everybody's decision, everybody's hustle. Like you could see, like you could see interviews probably from like 7 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago, that I'll have a whole different opinion about something. But I've grown and I evolve and I understand life more, you know, and I understand people more, and I understand decisions, and we change, we all evolve. I've changed, and Rhonda changed. She doesn't want to fight anymore. That's fine. Go do what you love. Be happy. Why am I going to hate on you? Why am I going to hate on why am I going to do that? I don't know her life. I don't know what she's going through. She could be miserable. She could be, that could be the only thing that keeps her alive. You don't know what this does for people, or what choices people are making, that it's helping them or getting them through life. And I understand that now later, you know. So it's just age
Part of
and
growing.
yeah. It took me a while. I'm a late bloomer.
Hey man, we all are. We all learn at different speeds, but we've kept you for quite a while here.
Yeah.
The last question we've got for you before we let you go, how do you see this one finishing? What's your prediction on this fight?
I mean, if I want the first KO, but like I wanted it last time, so I'm not trying to go for the fucking KO again. And I keep cussing. I'm sorry, everybody.
You're
You're
all
fine.
good.
I think that I'm gonna hurt her. I don't think that she's gonna be able to go all rounds. I think at the very least TKO. At the very least.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah. I don't. She's a tough girl, man. I don't know if she's gonna get slept. And at 5 rounds though, I don't know if she'll take it. I'm in good shape, and I've sparred a lot. I only sparred 3 times for Britain Hart's fight, and I didn't run that much. This fight, I mean, I'm ready. So yeah.
It's gonna be a war.
Yeah, it's gonna, and I know she's ready, and I know she's put on 10 pounds of muscle, she said, in 3 months. You're either on steroids or you're lying, because females, we can only gain 1.5 pounds a month, sweetheart. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.5 pounds you could have put on. If you put on 10 in 3 months, don't be saying that publicly. Just
well, if everything goes the way you're saying it's going to, come the 27th, it ain't gonna matter. You are gonna get the dub. So I just want to say thank you for your time. We're definitely gonna have to make sure that this isn't the last time you join us on Knockouts and 3 Counts. And
I love chatting. I would love to come back.
Hell yeah. We appreciate the time. She's going to cash her check come the 27th. Like I said, if you're cashing checks, make sure you check out our sponsors at G3 Payroll, Tax, and Accounting, and tell them Knockouts to 3 Counts sent you the link for that in the description. Until next time, and in the in-between time, who knows? Maybe 5 Finger Death Punch might be rolling through here next week. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button. Peace.